Welcome to Spiritually Raw. We expose and explore controversial truths, myths, and theories surrounding the spirit world. Guests includes investigators, debunkers, and skeptics of the supernatural, unexplained, and flat-out unimaginable. Content discussed on this show is not necessarily the opinion of the cast of Spiritually Raw, and topics quite often are for mature audiences only. This show is not intended to replace any medical, financial, or legal advice and is for entertainment purposes only. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. Welcome, everybody, to Spiritually Raw. How are you? Hope you're having the most fantastic day and all the manifestations in your life are happening the way you want it to. But in the event it's not, as always, we bring on amazing guests like David Groode here, psychic. He's going to help us to learning what he's learned in his journey in life to see how we can help you in your life. So when we talk on numerology, life navigation coaching, he's got a new series on Gnostic TV, New Life Navigation. And we're going to be talking about waking up the bigger game. This is very cool, but more about David from your perspective, yes?
Yes, and you're going to love this. David is a rock star intuitive reader. He specializes in life navigation, intuitive coaching. We're going to learn what that means. He's been working with an international clientele for over 30 years. And not only that, but he has a phenomenal promotion that he's offering available to the listeners and the viewers of specifically Spiritually Raw. So check this out. Anyone who books a full reading, intuitive reading, or numerology reading with David by the end of April 2024, all you have to do is mention Spiritually Raw, and you're also going to receive a complimentary 1-hour coaching session in addition to your reading. That is phenomenal.
No shit, huh?
Yeah, isn't that great?
Good for you, man. That's very, very heartfelt of you.
Yeah, and it sure is. So thank you so much. And if you can, everyone just take a quick moment, hit the like, hit the subscribe. And if you love the show as much as I know you're going to, kindly share the show. We would greatly appreciate it. Much love to everyone.
So we want to talk a bit about waking up the bigger game. So tell us the perspective of that. What do we need to be looking at when we say that?
Wow, we're living in such a dynamic time to be in our world, where our planet and humanity is in an ascension process, which means that everything is getting elevated, and we're moving positions as a planet, and our planet is moving into becoming part of a much bigger universe that's connected with Andromeda. And during this time of ascension, everything is being bumped up energetically, frequency-wise, vibration-wise. And it's an opportunity for people to really wake up and purify and clear and cleanse and really show up to, it's like a saying I read, wake up, grow up, and show up. And so the thing is, Amma, there's an enlightened teacher from India named Amma, and she travels around giving blessings and darshan, hugging people. And she says that when we're in our own world, we know that we need to take care of ourselves and our family. But she says when you wake up, you realize we need to take care of the whole world, that the world is our responsibility. And, you know, it's taking ownership for being the source of everything that we create in our lives and everything that we attract. And really, it gives one a whole sense of empowerment to step into that and to show up in that way.
So true. Well said. What makes you a rock star intuitive reader? What sets you apart from everyone else?
Wow. I've been doing readings for over 33 years, and it took me 17 years in to get clear about how the gift worked through me. And it was like getting clear about my X-Men gift. And after I got clear about it and was able to define it, it changed everything. And after that, it took me many, many, many more years to learn how to manage it. So it wasn't managing me.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a big process.
And
so through all of that, because I came into it very young, people used to arrive at the door and they go, "Can I just ask, how old are you?" And, you know, because I was in my 20s and just people couldn't believe it.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, I've gotten to do this all over the world. I've worked in Africa. I lived in Australia. Um, on a good week, I'll have clients from 6 different countries on Zoom sessions. So it's just had a life of its own, and I'm able to look at people and see where they are and see where they could be if they were out of their way and how to get there. So it's like identifying what the unconscious blocks are that are keeping people from being where they need to be and who they need to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I have this navigation gift of how it works through me, like where people's best places would be to live or to visit,
Oh, that's
or
cool.
I mean, that's pretty
That's
cool.
very cool.
or what they should be studying in school, or what their best career paths would be.
That helps cut a
And
lot
then and what surprised me during all of it was I had no idea, but I found out I could do profiling. So people send me photos of dating possibilities, relationships, business partnership possibilities, employee hires. And I look at photos and I start to tell them about, what to look out for, what's good, what they should avoid, where that person is coming from, things like that. So I've done a lot of profiling too.
That's very cool that you did that. And
That's super cool.
listen, man, congratulations for taking all this years of dedication to your
Refining
trade,
your
to your
skill.
profession, to acknowledging the fact that, hey, I got to refine this stuff. Hey, I want to ask you about something that we don't hear a lot of, but it's brought up in your profile, numerology. Let's talk about that for a minute if we can. Numerology. What
Yeah.
You don't hear about it as much as astrology, and number one, why do you think it is that we don't hear about it as much as astrology? And number two, um, you know, it's different. Can you help us to understand why they're so different? I mean, I know one goes to the stars, the other one goes with numbers, but what was your draw to numerology versus saying, well, look, I'm going to jump on the astrology, whether you do that or not, but what was your real draw to numerology and the importance of why we need to understand this, especially in this whole, like, oh, I'm seeing this 111, this 888, this 777, blah, 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 blah.
It's so funny because I love astrology, but I only know enough to get me into trouble. And so I think less people go towards numerology because I think a lot of people have math anxiety. And math was always my worst subject and still is.
Likewise.
And like just horrible. However, I never knew I would do numerology ever. 3 different sets of friends all referred me to this same exact woman for a numerology session. Now, all 3 sets of those friends didn't know each other.
Hmm.
We were different friends groups. And I said, no, I'm not going for any readings right now. Forget it. But I was coming out of a really bumpy time. And I went out one Friday night with one group of friends, and she was there. And so I couldn't avoid her. And so I talked with her and I really liked her. And I went for this numerology session with her, and it was life-changing. And back then, believe it or not, I was so shy. I didn't know what I would tell people if they came in for readings, unless they came in with questions. And so I originally learned the numerology as a social icebreaker, just as a place to start. But when I saw what it could do, how it's like a life map and it's just the numbers don't lie, I thought, wow, this is really powerful. And I work with it, my whole life. From that point forward, I've been working with it, and it's so deep. And just to observe how it works, and it's a really good roadmap, like a GPS to use when people feel like using the GPS.
Is it
Is it,
okay?
do you go by the birth
Bless
date, the
you.
birth year, the birth time? Like, what is your starting point?
Month, day, and year of birth, and full name at birth, first, middle, last.
Hmm,
And then
And through that, I can do a whole chart and see someone's whole life, basically.
that is
is
wild.
it predestined when you take a look at it from a numerology perspective, or is there going to be like paths you can take if you would?
There's flexibility, but it's also timing of how to use and work with each of the different phases of life and the different cycles and how to maximize that. Because if people know their cycles, they know how to work with it, they can flow much easier.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Talking about flowing much easier, how do you help people release subconscious blocks? Because that's more often than not the biggest issue.
The first thing is some of them can take years to identify and to name correctly. And when you're able to name them correctly, there's a huge shift.
Mm-hmm.
And I've I've had a lot of experience in naming people's unconscious blocks and shadow pieces. And um, that's the beginning of it, to be able to name it correctly and then observe it, and then you can work with it. So you can make sure then that your saboteur is not in the driver's seat of your car, driving your car forward in your life with your decisions and actions and things like that. And the other piece of that is, some people have their inner child operating and driving the car in certain areas of their lives where it might not always be appropriate to have the child making the decisions and driving the car in those areas. And other people have their wild, rebellious teenager driving the car in
Right.
certain areas. So that can be interesting, but not always the best.
Mhm.
And so people can get really clear about bringing their adult in and having who they want in the driver's seat through that whole process.
So
Mhm.
the naming part of it, is that more for the point or the exercise of saying to them, when you name it, now you've identified it, you've owned it, now we can work with it, kind of thing?
Yeah. And also naming it correctly can dissipate it because you've kind of like nailed it and it can't hide
Mhm.
Can you give us an
and you
example?
can't hide
Can you give us an example
yeah, like
and name it correctly?
some people would have a deep self-loathing. If we're
Mm.
going to go into shadow pieces, a deep self-loathing. Um, Other people are not self-reliant. Um, it just depends. There's so many different things that could come up. Entitlement is another big one for people.
That's a biggie, especially in today's world.
Hmm. Hmm.
Talking about entitlement, um, your life navigation, your roadmap for people. I'm thinking, geez, for kids that are in school, they're coming out of college, they're in this in-between stage, they don't know what their passion, or for anyone that doesn't, they can't seem to find what their passion is, or their driving force, their energy. Does your life navigation path help clear that for them? Help them bring it to the surface and give them a roadmap?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I can look at a chart and see what people's purpose is and what their destiny, what they is connected with and things like that. What they're connected with on a soul level.
What a great
Gift?
opportunity and what a great gift that is for so many people, because that is a big struggling block that they can't, we hear it all day long. I don't know what my passion is. I don't know how do you find your passion? What do I have to do to uncover it? And I think there's so much going, so much chitter chatter on in the mind, and there's so much, activity between social media, websites, the internet, everything's moving like at Mach speed, and the attention span is shortened to like 3 seconds, that it's so hard for many people just to kind of really take a step back and be like, how can I discover this? But to have someone help you figure out that path is a major gift.
Hey, so how much of that is people actually knowing that they when they come to you for that, how much do they kind of already kind of know what they got to do and they just in their own way? Like what do you or they just
Only some people, but a lot of people are telling themselves bad stories. So
Exactly.
sometimes I just sit there with them and name the stories that they're telling themselves.
Mm.
I'm like, come on, I don't even live with you, you know?
So tell us
So,
about your upcoming life navigation series on the Gnostic TV network. What can people expect?
oh my God, I am so excited. I have like 23 more episodes planned,
Wonderful.
and things from creating your own luck,
Nice.
um, embracing acceptance. I'm just reading some of them here.
Sure.
Aligning with your values, waking up your future.
waking up your future? That's a good one.
That's a goodie.
Move that to the
Right.
Yeah, clearing shadow pieces.
wow, you got some
So
good ones there.
I have some really good ones. I'm so excited about it, and I just love the platform. I
Thank
think
you.
the platform is so awesome, and I'm so excited to be part of it. And it's such a gift, and what an amazing um, platform for miracles for people in their lives.
No.
Yeah, you're sweet,
And
man. You
we're
really
honored to
are.
have you be a part of it. Thank you
We
so
really
much.
are. So listen, this is
Thank
gonna be pretty exciting. I mean, your energy, like we're so in awe, like as we meet with people and the dedication that people put towards their profession, how well they take it serious in a world where you don't know who does what anymore. It's hard to kind of figure out, and you got to use discernment on there. So thank you, brother, and we're all looking forward to your show, and again, really, we encourage everybody to take David up on that. Very cool promotion. I didn't even know about that. That's awesome.
I wanted to say one other thing. I'm always working on myself, because our work never stops. We never stop clearing our whole tour through here as human beings.
Right.
And the better we get at letting go, the more unencumbered our lives become, and the more simple and the more grace and light can flow through our lives. And I'm always working on myself. And I wanted to share something I really don't usually share, but Spirit's been nudging me, so I will. I used to see a Vedic astrologer when he was alive. He was amazing. He came from a family of Vedic astrologers in India, and he had a law degree from India. And sitting with him was like sitting with a diplomat. And he was so clear. And I had the privilege of taking a class from him and having several sessions from him while he was alive. And back in the 90s, early 90s, he told me when I was in my Rahu cycle, I would wake up. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Well, in 2014, I entered my Rahu cycle, which is an 18-year cycle. It's the north node of the moon in Vedic astrology. And that's when I met my life partner, Peter. And the thing is, I didn't remember that he told me that until this last year. I started to remember things that he told me from his sessions. And I had a very powerful experience 2 years ago where I experienced Bufo. And that was a big wake up. But where I couldn't deny it any longer was I've been going through vortex healing, which is a healing path and an awakening path. And it's a Merlin lineage of healing, but not Merlin like the magician, Merlin like a divine expression of consciousness. And in the beginning of the middle of the tree and in vortex classes, there's a class called Corveil. And I went to Corveil last November. There were 180 people there. maybe 15 people repeating from all over the world, 7 days. It was 7 of the most deepest transformational days of my entire life.
Mm.
And the first day, the core veil gets removed, which is around the heart that's connected to the 6th dimension. And after that, everybody that's there is spiritually awake. Now, what was confusing, and it was confusing, I felt it come off. I went back out into my life later that day. Everything is still the same in life. You have your household responsibilities, you have your relationships, people have their jobs, people have to pick their kids up from school. Everything is the same, but everything has changed. Everything. And that was very confusing. But where I'm getting to is on the Wednesday night, midweek during the class, after the class, I found myself processing it, wanting to understand it, going, wow, what's really real here? You know? And I saw that I was trying to deny it. And I followed that thread of denial all the way down. And I got to, don't you think you're worthy of it? And when I got to that and I was able to name it correctly, it released. And I realized at that point, I couldn't deny it anymore. No matter how much I tried to shove it away, to say, oh, yeah, you can't be awake, whatever, and I couldn't deny it. And since then, it's really changed everything. It's changed the level of the readings. I went through one other veil removal class after that. It's a big thing to come out into the world and to admit that and to say that. But I'm saying it because it's possible for anyone if they focus on making it happen. And that's partly why I wanted to say it today. People make it up to be such a big deal. It is life changing, but it doesn't mean your issues or problems or emotions go away. And so, and there's a different, there's more veil classes in Vortex. There's like 4 of them, but there's other awakening classes too. There's one where they wake up the body and they wake up the mind. So I really love Vortex healing, and I can't recommend it enough to people. It's taught through energy transmissions. And but to commit to being on a path of consciousness, to be conscious and to be awake, that's really a game changer, and it's a gift for the world. And when people wake up, it is a gift for our world, and it's a gift that can transform many, many people. Because especially when we get to vibrate on joy, that's a whole other vibration. And
Other vibration.
You don't see that in this country. A lot of this country, people vibrate on anger or fear.
That's for sure.
That is so true. Yeah, you don't see it. You don't see a lot of. Why not vibrate on joy, right? That's so cool. You're a special guy, man.
Thank you for sharing your story.
If you didn't feel that authenticity, everybody, then you have no soul. That was
The day that it happened, I didn't realize until it happened that I had a soul goal for it, but I didn't realize that. And the day that it happened, right after it happened, and I felt the core veil come off, I went out and played music on the break, and I just danced around. I was in so much joy because I felt like I had fulfilled something my soul was wanting.
And you allowed yourself. You got out of your own way, which is a problem for all of us, I guess, right?
Do you do the vortex healing as well?
I have a little bit. The funny thing is, when I started taking the classes, I thought I'd want to offer it as a service. But then as I was taking the classes, I realized it was more for me at that point. And so if somebody asked me to, I probably would. But it's been a really good process for me to work on myself and to clear things.
That's
Oh,
correct.
wonderful.
Yeah,
You know what? It just goes to show it doesn't matter how long you've been doing it. You've been pretty, in tune the majority of your entire life, but haven't been to the point where you stood back and said, you know what? I know enough. I know it all. I don't need to learn anymore. I can just get everything I know and move forward. You're on a constant learning path. And I think that's a wonderful place to be, because we will never understand it all. We will never know it all. And it's a
There's so many
constant
layers.
refinement. There's so many layers.
so many layers, so many levels, so many
Yes.
scenarios, big everything, you know what I mean? But you continually go on it. And, that's just a testament of, again, the credibility of what you do is the constant brutal honesty of like, hey, I'm going through this too. Let me show you what I'm doing and showing people the way, man.
The
That's
layers of consciousness.
layers of consciousness, brother. That's awesome.
Yeah. And I just got a second episode up on Gnostic about attracting and creating healthy relationships and love, where I had Peter, my partner, on there too. And it's a great episode. And he always holds me to it. Like, I can't get away with anything with Peter.
I know a lot of people are
You're blushing.
I know a lot of
I
people
love it.
are looking forward to your series. I know we sure are.
Yeah.
And it's just a blessing and a joy and an honor to be in your presence and to be part of
Thank you. Likewise.
Yeah, for
Both
sure.
of you are such a beautiful couple. You're amazing.
You are
Thank
So
you are-
much light.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Right back at you, brother. Okay, David's links will be in the description below. The show link will be in the description. Make sure that's a really cool thing in our coaching session when you get a reading from him. That's really good. So thanks for doing that, brother. That's very kind of you to offer that out there. So take advantage of that, everybody. Live well, live prosperous, live abundant. Yes.
And together with David's help, we are turning the universal key to global harmony and creating a unified world. Thank you so much for tuning in. And remember, tune in often. Tell all your friends, and most importantly, may all your layers of consciousness dreams come true. Many blessings. We'd like to share a story. While it may sound fictional, it's very real and happening right now in front of our very eyes. It's called the Great Awakening. Our sisters and brothers that come on Spiritually Raw are doing everything to help expand global consciousness, and in many cases putting everything on the line to share their messages about what's happening around the world for the greater good of humanity. We are living in the most unbelievable times. Some may even say biblical, scary for many and yet exhilarating for others. Together we are taking part in getting everyone acclimated to the Great Awakening process and the exciting new discoveries that lie ahead. The sad part is many of our amazing guests are being heavily censored, socially shamed, and outright banned on many platforms for exposing the truth and piercing the veil. By becoming a viewer, you bring your powerful energy towards this global movement of other truth seekers. If you're resonating with our show, please let us know by hitting the like button, sharing, subscribing, turn on the notification, and leave some comments. Together, we will turn the universal key to global harmony and create a unified world. And remember, tune in often, tell all your friends, and most importantly, may all your dreams come true. Thanks, and God bless Patriots worldwide.